Imagine swimming in the ocean and coming face to face with a creature that has no teeth, but can still bite through solid bone like it is nothing. A creature so heavily armored that almost nothing could hurt it. A creature that was essentially a living tank with a jaw that worked like a pair of industrial scissors. This thing was real. It swam in our oceans, and for a very long time, it was the most terrifying predator on the entire planet. Meet the Dunkleosteus. And trust me, by the end of this video, you are going to be very glad this thing is extinct. What even was this thing? Before we get into how scary this creature was, let's talk about what it actually was. Dunkleosteus was a prehistoric fish that lived around 358 to 382 million years ago, during a period called the Late Devonian Era. Scientists classify it as a placoderm, which is a group of ancient armored fish that no longer exist today. And when we say armored, we mean genuinely, heavily, seriously armored. The front half of its body, its head and chest, was covered in thick, interlocking plates of solid bone. It looked less like a fish and more like a warship that decided to go swimming. It could grow up to 20 feet long and weighed somewhere around 1 ton. To put that in perspective, that is roughly the size of a large modern great white shark. But unlike a great white, which is built for speed and agility, Dunkleosteus was built like a fortress. It was wide, heavy, and powerful in a way that very few creatures in history have ever matched. The bite that changed everything. Okay, here is where things get really incredible. Dunkleosteus did not have teeth, not a single one. Instead, it had these sharp, bony plates in its jaw that worked exactly like self-sharpening blades. Every time it bit down, the plates rubbed against each other and kept themselves razor-sharp automatically. Nature basically gave this creature a built-in knife sharpener inside its own mouth. That is honestly one of the most impressive biological designs in the history of life on Earth. But here is the part that is truly jaw-dropping. Literally. Scientists have studied the mechanics of the Dunkleosteus jaw extensively, and what they found was extraordinary. This creature could open its mouth in about 50 to 60 milliseconds. That is faster than the blink of a human eye. When it opened that fast, it created a powerful suction that pulled prey directly into its mouth before the prey even had a chance to react. And then the jaw snapped shut, with an estimated bite force of around 8,000 pounds per square inch. To give you a reference point, a modern great white shark bites with a force of around 4,000 pounds per square inch. Dunkleosteus was hitting roughly double that. It could bite through the armored shells of other placoderms, through thick bones, through basically anything that got in its way. Nothing in its ocean was safe from that bite. Nothing. One of the most fascinating things about Dunkleosteus is that it probably did not need long chases to catch its prey. Unlike fast pursuit hunters that rely on endurance, this fish appears to have been built for explosive ambush attacks. It could remain relatively still, conserving energy, before unleashing an incredibly rapid strike at the perfect moment. For any unlucky animal swimming within range, there would have been almost no time to escape. The attack would have been over before its brain even had a chance to process what was happening. Its enormous armored head also served another purpose beyond protection. Those massive muscles required to generate such a devastating bite needed strong attachment points, and the heavy skull provided exactly that. In other words, the armor was not just defensive, it was part of the weapon itself. Every feature of this animal worked together to maximize power. What makes Dunkleosteus even more remarkable is that it evolved these adaptations hundreds of millions of years before dinosaurs ever walked the earth. It became an apex predator during a time when complex marine ecosystems were still developing, proving that nature had already begun experimenting with terrifying designs long before the more famous prehistoric giants appeared. The ocean it ruled. The world that Dunkleosteus lived in looked almost nothing like our world today. The late Devonian period was a wild, strange time in Earth's history. The continents were arranged completely differently. Large parts of what is now North America, Europe, and North Africa were covered by a warm, shallow sea called the Kaskaskia Sea. And in that sea, Dunkleosteus was at the absolute top of the food chain. There was nothing bigger, nothing stronger, and nothing more dangerous. It shared its ocean with giant sea scorpions, primitive sharks, and all kinds of armored fish. But Dunkleosteus was the apex of the apex. Fossils of other fish, found near Dunkleosteus fossils, often show signs of having been bitten in half or partially digested and then spat back out. because Dunkleosteus apparently had a habit of eating what it wanted from its prey and discarding the rest. Scientists have found fossil sites that look almost like ancient feeding grounds, piled with the remains of half-eaten creatures. This animal was not just a predator. It was an incredibly dominant, almost wasteful predator that ate whatever it pleased and left the rest behind. How do we know so much about it? Here is something interesting about Dunkleosteus that sets it apart from many other prehistoric creatures. Because it was so heavily armored, those bony head plates fossilized extremely well. We have found a remarkable number of Dunkleosteus skull fossils in very good condition, particularly in a place called the Cleveland Shale in Ohio, USA, which has produced some of the finest specimens ever discovered. This is actually why the creature is named after David Dunkel, a paleontologist from the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, who studied these fossils extensively. The body of Dunkleosteus, however, is a different story. Because the rest of its body was made of cartilage rather than bone, similar to modern sharks, it rarely fossilized. So while we know the head and jaw incredibly well, scientists have had to make educated guesses about the full body shape based on related species. Some reconstructions show it as thick and heavy-bodied, while newer research suggests it may have been more streamlined than originally thought. Every new study adds something to the picture. What happened to it? So if this creature was so powerful, so dominant, so perfectly built for survival, what happened to it? The answer lies in one of the most devastating extinction events in Earth's history. The late Devonian extinction, which happened around 359 million years ago, wiped out a massive percentage of marine species on Earth. The exact causes are still debated by scientists. Possible causes include global cooling, changes in ocean oxygen levels, and volcanic activity. Whatever the cause, the result was catastrophic for ocean life, and Dunkleosteus did not survive it. It is one of those genuinely humbling moments in Earth's history. The most powerful predator in the ocean, an animal that could bite through solid bone without blinking, brought down not by anything stronger or faster or smarter, but by changes in the environment that it simply could not adapt to quickly enough. Nature does not care how powerful you are. When the world changes, everything has to change with it or disappear. Dunkleosteus ruled its ocean for millions of years. It was armored, unstoppable, and built with one of the most devastating bites in the history of life on this planet. And yet here we are, millions of years later, and it is gone. Just fossils and jaw mechanics, and a name that most people have never even heard of. But now you have. And next time someone brings up the scariest ocean predator in history, you do not have to say great white shark or Megalodon. You can say Dunkleosteus, the sea monster that bit through solid bone and ruled an ocean that the rest of the world has completely forgotten. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and hit subscribe, because we have so many more forgotten giants to talk about. And let us know in the comments, if Dunkleosteus were alive today, would you ever get in the ocean again? Because honestly, same.